How you doing? So this is a little bit different type of video that I normally do on this channel. Normally I do gameplay videos, and I know that on Friday I said that today, Monday, I was going to start doing my Astrobot playthrough here on the channel, but I just want to yap today, if you'll allow me to. I've always wanted to do commentary videos, and what I'm going to be talking about today is something that's been on my heart and on my mind for, I'd say, probably about a month and a half now. Of this thing that I just really wanted to talk about, and I kind of just can't really let it fester in my mind anymore. I kind of just need to get it out there. I need to just kind of get it off of my chest, off of my mind, and whoever hears it, hears it. I've always wanted to do commentary videos. However, this particular topic that I'm going to be talking about today isn't something that I ever really planned to come back to and talk about. This is more or less just a one-off. Maybe again in the future I'll bring him up, but pretty much for this video, it's a one-time thing, and that's God and religion and how it's impacted my life in the short time that I've been with it. So if you'll let me, I guess I can start. Where to begin? I guess I can begin all the way back in 2010. I was a YouTube kid growing up. I watched your Nickelodeons, your SpongeBob's and your and Cartoon Network stuff, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, and your old school Tom and Jerry's, and all those great cartoons. But I really was a YouTube kid. I loved watching YouTube videos, and the person that I really loved watching the most, that really was somebody that I came back to every single day. When I was about 10 years old, was Jacksepticeye. I ended up finding Jack when he had maybe somewhere between 150,000 to maybe 300,000 subscribers, somewhere in that ballpark range. And I remember watching this video of his. It was Turbo Dismount. I believe it was like part 4. He was playing on this map, driving a brown box van, and he was driving towards a roundabout and got absolutely T-boned. And he did some sort of like just edit where he replayed the audio and cut the screen to black, and it sounded like he was getting banged.
Oh, I could just see it coming. It's big face and right. Oh, I could just see it coming. It's big face and right. Oh, ow.
And the 10-year-old me thought that was hilarious, but little did I know at the time that that little clip, that laughter, that little joke, that planted the seed in me to want to do this one day, and it festered for a very long time. In middle school, growing up, I'd hear teachers say, "What does everyone want to be when they grow older?" And before they could even finish the sentence, the first thing that would pop in my mind was YouTube. This was it. And getting into high school, especially, all these teachers are saying, "You're going to graduate soon. You're going to graduate in 2 years. Next year, in a couple of months, what are you going to do?" And the only thing that I could think about was doing this. As corny as it may sound to somebody out there, this was all I could think about doing. I ended up settling on being a security officer because my dad was one, and he said, "For your 18th birthday, I'll pay for you to go and do the classes and get the license to be a security officer." Because in New Jersey, you need to get a license in order to be a security officer, which, I got to be honest, side rant here, I think is super stupid, considering the fact the whole reason why you need to get a license to be a security officer was because of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Don't know if you know this, but that happened in New York, not New Jersey. So I don't know why New Jersey you need to get a security officer's license and not in New York. But he said, "I'll pay for you to get your license and for the classes." And so I just kind of went into the security field because I was told to, But when I got out of high school, I fell into a pretty deep depression because I just was not prepared for the real world at all. All I knew how to do was go to school, and that was it. I graduated high school. Fun fact, the same day the rapper XXXTentacion was killed, June 18th, 2018. And it was pretty much on that day when I got the boot from school. They said, "Okay, here's your diploma. Get out." I was like, well, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, what exactly do I, like, I sort of had a plan of what I was going to do, but I still didn't really know, like, how to be an adult. School did not prepare me to be an adult, nor did they really even just prepare me to be outside of that building in general. I had no idea. So I fell into a depression for about a year. I didn't get my first job until July 1st, 2019, and I worked it for about 3 months up until I quit because it was a really terrible place. And then about a month and a half later, I ended up getting a job at the place where I worked up until this past June. I worked there for 5.5 years, all through the pandemic. And for the most part, it was an okay-ish job. For the last couple of years, it had just been kind of getting worse and worse. But in 2022, I decided that I was really just kind of not happy with my life and that something needed to change. And so I decided I was finally going to start this. And Hogwarts Legacy was a game that I was actually going to start my channel off on because it was a new game at the time. I think it came out February 10th or 12th of 2023, something like that. I remember it was about I think it was April of 2022, April or May. I was watching like some gameplay trailers of it or whatnot. Maybe they did like a gameplay demo of it. I remember seeing something of it at work and saying that I was definitely going to have to start getting my shit ready to do this. And I started to buy a computer or get ready to buy a computer, all that. I didn't end up getting a computer until about December of 2022. The computer didn't even arrive until like April or May of 2023. And I very slowly started to piece everything together, but come, I would say, probably the end of the summer of 2023, maybe 2020, no, about the end of 2023, I had everything, computer and monitors, microphone, everything. I had everything, and I just couldn't start it. No matter what I tried to do, I could not start it. I did not have the balls to start. But it was about May of 2023 where I started to kind of find a religion a little bit. At this time, I kept a daily journal. I wasn't really doing all that well mentally. I hated my job. I was going through a lot stress-wise at that time because in May of 2023, my supervisor, my boss at work, he unfortunately passed away. Just out of nowhere. And so they were really relying on me to sort of run the site where I was doing security at, and I didn't know really how to run. I knew how to kind of keep it afloat, but I didn't really know how to like run it, steer the ship kind of thing, you know what I mean? I had no idea. I could keep the motor going, but steering it, good luck. So I was really kind of stressed out at the time, and this job, once they finally did get a new supervisor, because I just said no, I wasn't going to do it. Fun fact, the guy that I was talking to, he's like, oh, you could be the supervisor. It's so easy. It's just extra paperwork. I said, listen, buddy, with all due respect, I've been working here longer at this site than you've even had the contract to run the site from your side of the corporate office, okay? I know firsthand it is not more paperwork, and that's it, okay? It is a lot more than that. The only person that knows how to actually properly run this site is currently laying on a slab in the morgue. You want to go ask him how to run the site? I'm sure he'll tell you how stressful it is. I'm not going to piece this shit together. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not going to do it. I need actual proper guidance and direction on how to do it. You don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. The only guy that knows how to is dead. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else. They ended up doing that, but I was really tired. I was really stressed out with the job. It's not like it was a super duper stressful job, but just that situation of, new supervisor, there was another new employee, it was a lot. And realizing that I'm working a dead end, go nowhere, do nothing job, get paid nothing job. It sucked. The job wasn't physically demanding, but it was just so mentally draining. And that was part of the reason why I just kind of couldn't start YouTube. I kept saying on the weekend, I'm going to make a channel, I'm going to upload my first gameplay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I just couldn't do it because I was so mentally tired. I had all this physical energy to want to go and do this and that, but just mentally, I was just a zombie. I was just zombified. I couldn't do it. I was a walking corpse. All I did was go from home to work, work to home, and that was it. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it anymore. But in that May of 2023, writing in my journal to try and cope with a lot of stress and some depressive thoughts, I remember talking about it and saying in there, I don't have a purpose. I know that I want to do this, but I don't have a purpose in life. I'm just sitting here working this BS job. I know the second that I just say the two words, I quit, tomorrow there's going to be a new ass in my chair. You know what I mean? I'm that replaceable. No one really cares about me. They don't really care that I'm good at my job. They don't really care that the job gets done. All they care about is that they don't have problems with whoever's doing it. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I said in that journal, I have no purpose. I just, what's the point of it all? Why hang around? I'm a waste of space. I'm a waste of oxygen. I'm a waste of everything. I'm a nuisance. I had no purpose. I'm not useful. I just exist. This isn't a living. I just exist. I want to live. And later that night, I worked the second shift. I worked 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. at that job. It was maybe 10:30-ish at night. I was sitting on the front porch. I was having a cigar, drinking a cup of coffee. I was enjoying my night. And this guy would just walk right in front of my front porch to the apartment that I live in. I was sitting on the front porch. Guy walked across right in front of me that I'd never seen before in our apartment complex. And he walked right across the yard, and he ended up going to my neighbor's apartment. And he was down on his hands and knees looking through their window and like into their living room and into their kitchen. And when he realized they didn't see him and they didn't know he was there, he just hopped on their bike and stole it. And so I thought about it for a minute or two. Should I call the cops? Should I even do anything? But I just said, you know what? I'm going to go over there. I'm going to tell them about it. And so I did. I knocked on their door, rang their doorbell, and I said, hey, I just saw somebody snag a bike right off your front porch. And he got in the car and he went after it. His wife got on the bike and she went in the opposite direction, because they went down the road. And I said, I don't know where he went after that, because then it splits going to the right and to the left. I think he took a right. She took a left. They came back 15 minutes later and he had the bike, pulling it out of the trunk of his little SUV. And he was talking about, thank you so much. You saved the night, yada, yada. And we chatted for 10, 15 minutes. But when I was done with my cigar at about 10:45, I got in. I was eating my dinner in my room here. And I realized, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I kind of had a purpose. I know it's sort of like the cliche thing to say, God sent a man, but God did send a man. Like, he sent the man, I wrote in that journal, why would God put me here without a purpose? This and that. Why God this and that? And that same day, I wrote that in the journal about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And come 10:30 at night, merely 8 to 9 hours later, God had said, okay, you feel like you're purposeless? You're not useful? Here you go. I'm putting you at a crossroads. You want to just sit there and do nothing, or do you want to do something about it and fulfill a purpose and actually be useful to somebody? And I chose to be useful, and it felt really good. It felt really, really good to help somebody get their bike back. And all I had to do was just get up, walk 20 feet and tell somebody, hey, your bike got stolen. That was sort of like the first thing that really made me think like, maybe there really, truly is a God working for my greater good out there. I wasn't ever going to say I was an atheist. I was always kind of agnostic, kind of believed that there was a higher power, didn't really know what it was, but I knew that there was always something out there. And that was sort of the beginning of me getting into religion a little bit. I wasn't praying or nothing at that time, but I did kind of start to have God on my mind a little bit more. But now fast forward to November of 2024. Once again, I said, I feel like my life is purposeless, not useful. Why would God let me feel this way? I hate myself, all this and that. And I come home and there was, I just went on YouTube to watch videos, and I didn't watch any religious content at all, but YouTube brought me this random video from someone. And, it was kind of one of those kind of clickbaity titles that said, if you're seeing this, God has a message for you or something like that. I'm like, all right, I'll bite. Why not? Right? It's a 7-minute video. All right, whatever. But the words that she spoke, it wasn't like she was just making a video like I'm doing now. It was like she was directly talking to me. Everything that she was saying was just spot on. And it really, from that point on, I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy my Bible. I'm gonna get into religion. I'm gonna kind of take it seriously. I'm gonna start praying. Because something like that, it was just so coincidental. I kind of hate to use the word, because the more I've strengthened my faith and I've been reading the Bible and I've been praying and talking to God, I realize there really are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. But, you fast forward a little bit more. I think it was maybe like January, February-ish, maybe March of 2025, the beginning of this year here. And I was at work come 6 o'clock. Most everybody's out of the office. And I remember this night, everybody was out of the office. And I was just kind of pacing back and forth around the office, doing laps around the office building, as I was supposed to anyway. But I was talking out loud to God, and I just told him, I said, I cannot start this YouTube thing. I've been wanting to for well over a year. I've been thinking about it every single day for like 6 years plus. I mean, it's always been in my heart to do it since I was 10 years old, but I've been really seriously thinking about it since basically the beginning of the pandemic, and I just haven't had the balls. I can't find a pair big enough that I can grab onto in order to do this. I just can't do it. Any way that you can get me to start doing YouTube, please do it. Please, any way that you can find a way for me to do this. Give me the confidence, give me the strength, give me something, anything that you can do to get me to sit down and start it. Please do it. Fast forward into June of 2025, and I lost my job. Basically, at the beginning of 2025, I said that I was done trying to be the guy running around, plugging all the holes in the ship, trying to keep everything afloat. The supervisor was terrible. The other employee I worked with was half retarded at best. I mean, she was just terrible. And the supervisor just refused to get rid of her. And so, of course, everything fell to the good employee that always went around and tried to help her do things for the supervisor, because the supervisor was one of those kind of bitches that just dumped everything onto everybody else's lap. It kind of did like one or two of her responsibilities, but then just kind of foregoed everything else and threw it onto everyone. She's like one of those people. And so I just said, I'm done. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my job, and that's it. Fast forward to June, and I lost my job because, lo and behold, when I focused on only doing my job, the ship started to sink real quick. It just did. Every other week, the supervisor was pulling me and then one employee into the office, one by one, having meetings. Why didn't this get done? Why didn't somebody send this email? Why didn't somebody do this or that? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know what you want from me, man. I don't know what you want from me. Like, that email was supposed to get sent at like 12 o'clock noon. You're here. She was here. I don't come in until 1. What do you want me to do about it? And she's like, well, she leaves at 6. If you see the emails now, I'm like, I'll spare you all the details of it. But basically, she got rid of the good employee instead of getting rid of the problem employee. It was just one of those things. But when I got that call, I remember it was Wednesday, June 25th. I was at the coffee shop. I got the call. I missed the call. I listened to the voicemail just saying, don't go into work today. And I called him back, and he told me, I got an email saying to have you pulled from the site. They don't want you there anymore. And, at the time I was kind of crushed because I didn't like the job. I was praying to God and thanking him for allowing me to have that job, even though I hated it. But, I was kind of nervous. I was kind of scared. My only source of income is now gone. What am I going to do? But I'll never forget that day. It was maybe 10, 15 minutes after I got off the phone, not even 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes after I got off the phone with him. I remember thinking to myself, I don't see it now, but this is a blessing in disguise. It just is. It just 100% is. I needed to get out of this job. It was not good for my mental health at all. I was stressed out the wazoo, dealing with fucking Ricky Retardo 1 and 2. It was just bad. Part of my language. I'm trying not to curse as much anymore, but I was just so stressed and now anxious that I don't have my job, but in a way kind of thankful that I don't have to go to it anymore. But I took a day or two to just kind of relax and just kind of deal with my anxiety of no longer having a job. But it hit me. I was thinking about it, and I felt like I heard God speaking to me saying, look, you wanted to start YouTube. I know you hated this job. You said, anything that I can do to get you to start, please do it. I now removed you from that job. What are you going to do? Are you going to go and get another job that you're going to probably hate, that's not going to pay you dick, and just continue to work for the world? Or are you going to go and do something where you don't really know how it's going to work out? You don't know if it's going to be successful or not, but you could take that shot. It's something that you've always wanted to do. It's something that you're passionate about. It's something that you've wanted to start. I've now removed all the hurdles and problems in your way. Are you going to do it? And I said, yes, I'll do it. And so I took a couple of weeks to kind of mentally prepare myself. And come July 17th, 2025, I started my YouTube channel here. And I got to be completely honest, I am so happy that I did. My only regret with doing YouTube is that I did not start it sooner. Honest to God, that's my only regret. I love doing YouTube. I can't imagine not doing it right now. And I'm the only person that really watches my videos. I have 2 subscribers. At the time of me recording this video, I have 2 subscribers on my channel. One of them is me, and the other one is some other random person. For the last about a month and a half to 2 months, I have been the only person watching my videos. I've been the only person watching my videos. A couple of my videos got 2 views on it, and that's because while I was watching it on my phone, I accidentally clicked off the video and I had to click back onto it, and so it counted as 2 views. But I am the only person that's been watching my videos, and I don't care. I literally do not care. I am so happy that I just get to wake up every morning in this bed. I'll pray before my feet ever hit this carpet. I'll go take a shower, get dressed, and then read my Bible. After that, I go get my cup of coffee. I come here, I sit down, and I get to play a game because I love games. I absolutely love games. I love it. I love just experiencing these characters and their story, their arcs. I love getting to explore these worlds that all these incredibly talented developers get to make. I just love video games. I'm so passionate about them, and I just want to be able to share that experience with the world. You know, it's like seeing someone like Jacksepticeye again growing up, just sitting down, being that escape for somebody. You know, I'll be honest, I grew up, I didn't really have many friends. I had my small little clique in school, but it was that kind of clique. As soon as you graduate high school, you never fucking see them again. I haven't seen any of the people that I've graduated that I graduated at school with since like 2021, 2022. I haven't seen anybody. It was just the one guy. We went to Hooters and I damn near had a heart attack eating that burger because it was so fucking greasy. I couldn't even finish it. Fun fact, I ordered a normal cheeseburger when I went. I'll never forget this shit. I went there. I ordered a normal cheeseburger. I said, I want everything on it except mayo. They gave me a fucking cheeseburger with no cheese and no nothing on it. It was just bun, burger, and mayo. They gave me literally the only thing I asked not to have on the burger and took everything else that I wanted on it off. I couldn't believe it. How can you fuck up the order that bad? But I'm not the type of person I'm gonna tell you, hey, you fucked up my order. Can I get a new one? Because you know what's gonna happen as soon as you do that, and then they're gonna bring it back. I'm not going to do that. I'm good. I'll just sit there, shut up, and eat it, and, just that. But I couldn't even finish it because, like I said, I was going to have a heart attack. It was terrible. I'll never go back to Hooters. Oh, my God. Garbage. Their fried pickles were good, though. I'll tell you that. Fried pickles. Fucking mwah. But anyway, not really having that many friends. Getting bullied a little bit when I was in middle school. Not so much high school because I am 6'9". I am a gigantic human being. And when I got into high school, I was like the 3rd tallest kid when I was a freshman. No one really wants to bully the kid that's like a giant. It's just, it doesn't really want to no one does it. But middle school, I got bullied a little bit, and Jack was my escape. I remember back in those days, he would upload double every day. Once at like 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then another one by like maybe 6:30, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And every single day, I would watch, no matter what. I remember I would actually grab my iPad, because I had an iPad at the time, and I would grab it off the chair in my room, and I would jump and swan dive, land on my back, do a twist in the air, and I would just watch it on my tablet. It was so nice to just have that escape when I got out of school, and part of me wants to be like that for somebody else too. Just one person. If I could be the escape for one person who absolutely hated school, didn't have many friends, got bullied, and just kind of hated everything that was around them. I wanted to be the escape for that one kid that's a prisoner to his own bedroom. That's how I was. I basically was a prisoner to my bedroom. I never left my bedroom, really. I never had a reason to go and play outside. There was no other kids in the neighborhood. I lived on a dead-end street. I was just kind of a loner, and YouTube was a very, very good escape to me. Jack was an instrumental part of my childhood. And now I'm an adult, and I want to be like that for somebody else, And again, as corny as this may sound to somebody, I really feel like this is what I was supposed to do. Again, corny this is going to sound, but I don't feel like I'm just built to do anything else. I could go get a job stocking shelves. I could go get a job, with a weed whacker and a lawnmower cutting people's grass. I could go get a job flipping burgers or making pizzas or doing anything. I could get a job doing anything, but I just don't want to. This is the only thing that I really want to do. And even though right now I'm just kind of talking into the void and really no one watches my content, I am never been happier in my life to just sit here and do this. I mean, between you and me, I'm going to have to get a job soon because money's starting to run a little low. Not that I'm asking for charity or anything. Don't even think that I'm asking for charity. Not happening. But I'm just so happy that I get to sit here. I get to wake up every day and just do this. And, it's just the reason why I've been wanting to talk about all this is because like God has done so much for me. In the pretty much 13 months that I've been with him and praying and reading my Bible and talking to him about my problems and, my plans for life and for him to bless him. I mean, he's done so much. 13 months ago, I was working a job that I hated and saw no way out. And now here I am. He put me in a position to do what I'm doing now. Looking back on it, he's been present in my life doing so many different things from my early childhood up until this very moment. And it was actually Friday night. I prayed right before I went to bed because I pray every morning and every night before I go to bed. I prayed, just tell me something, whether it's in a dream, tomorrow, sometime throughout the day, tell me something because I'm going to make this video. I have to make this video. I can't live with this on my heart and in my head anymore. I got to make this video. Tell me something that I can tell people. So tell me something that somebody needs to hear. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I had it ringing in my ears the rest of the night and all day Saturday. And that was never underestimate the power of Christ. Never, ever. Because he has done things that at the time seem a little scary and I don't really understand why it's gotten done, why it had to be done the way that it was. But it was important that it happened the way that it did. It just was. And I'm so happy that he had me removed from that security job. I'm so happy that he's allowed me to get closer to him now because I have all the time in the world to get closer to him. I'm so happy that he's given me the time to sit down and finally pursue what I feel like he has put me here to do. And I mean, that's just really it. I'm not going to be that type of person that says you should go out and buy a Bible and start going to church and this and that. I don't want to get all preachy. I've just, my relationship with God, with Christ is a little bit more of a personal one. And I don't know. I really felt like I had to kind of yap about this. The year's coming to a close. Christmas Day will be 6 months, 10 days exactly from when I'm recording this. Will be 6 months of me not having a job. And come January 17th, it should be 6 months to the day where I have started doing YouTube. And I just kind of feel like since it's the end of the year, it's just a good time to talk about this. And so, yeah, if you've made it this far into the video, how long have I been recording? I minimized OBS. How long have I been sitting here yapping? 30 minutes. Good Lord, have mercy. If you made it this far into my little yap session here, I do greatly appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not going to... I do want to do more commentary style videos, but I don't really want to be talking about God and all that because I know some people, they kind of get a little off-put by it. Maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable with religion, which is totally fine, to each their own. But if you made it this far, I do greatly, greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. I don't have anything else. If you like this video, maybe consider giving it a like. And I guess tomorrow, Tuesday, I will officially start the Astrobot playthrough here on the channel. So I'll see you then. Take care and God bless.